On. Hey, what's up, everybody? It is
Whoa.
Sunday, October 22nd, 2023, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Now Mind You podcast. This is episode 88 Combat. I'm TJ.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Bryce, tone change. He had a conflict, but he'll be back next week, y'all. Apologies to anyone listening on their headphones. I don't know what's going on with me. Anyway, as far as what we're going to cover on this episode, we will be talking about UFC 294 Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2, which took place in the United Arab Emirates, specifically Abu Dhabi at the Etihad Arena. And then we also have a rare but welcome topic of the week. Matt, you want to explain that right quick?
So our topic of the week this week is best UFC fighters that never became champion. This includes does not include becoming interim champion. So pretty much fighters who either never won the belt or never got a chance to get to it. We get about 3 to 5 of those. Testing the waters.
Yeah. All right, with that, let's just get into it. UFC 294. It'll be a quick one, y'all.
The podcast is going to be probably longer than the card was.
Right. First off, well, let me just talk about the main card real quick because that's usually what we covered. We had Nurmagomedov versus Gafarov at bantamweight. We had Aliskerov versus Alves at middleweight. We had Ankalaev versus Walker at light heavy. Then we had Usman versus Chimaev at the co-main and middleweight, both of them making their middleweight debuts. Then, of course, we had the rematch between the anticipated rematch. Well, there were a lot of last-minute switch-offs for this card, but what ended up being the finalized card was still very exciting, right? We had the anticipated rematch between Makhachev versus Volkanovski for the lightweight title bout. Matt, you want to kick us off with Nurmagomedov versus Gafarov?
Let's get to it. So, for those of you who may have been confused, Khabib did not move down to bantamweight. This is Saeed Nurmagomedov.
Think of Nurmagomedov almost like a
Johnson.
Last name Smith, Johnson, or Williams or something like that. It's very common out there, it would seem.
So we got Saeed Nurmagomedov at bantamweight. And he was coming into this fight against Muin. How do you say this guy's name? Gafarov?
Gafarov, yeah.
Muin Gafarov. Oof, okay. And both guys have been to UFC. Both guys, actually, believe it or not, were coming into this fight coming off of a loss. Saeed was coming off of a loss to Jonathan Martinez back in March of this year. On that Jan versus Dvalishvili card.
Was it a leg kick?
No, TKO? Believe it or not, it was a unanimous decision.
Gotcha. Did we cover that? Was it main card?
I don't believe so.
Gotcha.
And on the other end, we have Gafarov also coming off of a loss, and he was coming off of a loss against John Castaneda. That fight being back in June of this year. So both guys were looking to get one back in the win column. This doesn't go long. First minute of the fight, this fight also wins performance of the night for Saeed Nurmagomedov. They literally were saying on the broadcast, he has to be careful when he shoots or he's going to get caught with that guillotine. Saeed is known to jump straight on a guillotine or a choke the minute somebody shoots on him. Mm-hmm. He has several guillotines. That's kind of a thing he's known to do. It's also a known defensive tactic too. When people shoot, that you can kind of go for that. And sure enough, Gafarov shoots in and the guillotine got locked up by Saeed. 1 minute and 13 seconds into the first round, this fight was over. I have nothing extra. I'm going to pass that to TJ.
I think Gafarov went out while he was tapping.
Oof.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Fear.
Like, he was pissed off when he woke up, too. Like, he slammed his mouthpiece into the canvas in disgust.
He was mad as hell.
Yeah.
He said, I took a nap. Fuck.
I don't have anything to add. You covered it all.
He missed all them texts from his shorty when he went to sleep. It's over with. He's single now.
Oh, my God. Oh my god. Do you mind if I take us into Ikram Aliskerov versus Warley Alves at middleweight?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So we have Ikram Aliskerov, who I think was scheduled at some point to fight Paulo Costa. I think they were mentioning that during the broadcast, but he is a Sambo fighter, which a lot of these fighters are like very active in the Sambo, or were very active in the Sambo scene leading up to the UFC. But you might remember Aliskerov for the way he KO'd Phil Hawes back in May of this year in the first round. Then on the other side, we have Warley Alves, a UFC vet. When did he start? He made his debut back in 2014 in the Octagon, and he's like basically about to hit the 10-year mark. He is a kickboxing stylist, and we had another instance of the up and comer essentially somewhat being fed to the veteran. You would think, at least on paper, that's what it looks like. And Alves is trying to show that he's still got a lot of gas in the tank, so to speak, when it comes to dealing with some of these young up and comers. Let me tell you this. This was another fight that was not very long, and someone's credit score got knocked loose. Someone got hit so hard that it took some points off of their credit score. Dude, Aliskerov sat Alves down with a jab. This was not a step-in jab, mind you. This was not some type of power jab where he shifted his way to the back. It was just a jab right down the middle. Alves went down with just a jab. So if that's what your jab is doing, we don't need to know what the rest of your arsenal can do. Sure enough, though, yeah, like it's just like he showed how fast the hands were. He did sorry for the anime reference if you guys don't watch anime listening to the combat session, but if you've seen Ip Man or you watch Jujutsu Kaisen Zero the movie, you saw what Gojo did to Miguel. That's what he did to Alves up against the fence. And
bro, that switch knee was crazy.
That's enough. Let's just stop this right now. I'm gonna say this for me personally. I don't want any smoke with Aliskerov, and the main card so far is like 2-0 Russia. Something about Abu Dhabi, the UAE seems to add plus 300 strength. Cause yeah, Matt, I'm gonna pass it over to you, dog.
For what?
Okay. Take us into
what? No, bro, that switch knee was crazy.
Sorry.
Sometimes I see people get hit and I just be like, what the fuck is the ref doing? Like, fuck all that, give him a chance. Nah, bro, a switch knee, he took all of it. His fucking neck snapped back. I don't want to hear, well, he was still standing. He was trying to register what happened to him. Anyway. Next, we had Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. This fight was at 205. I almost said cruiserweight. This fight was at light heavyweight, 205. They came into this fight with the understanding that this fight was going to be for contendership. This would lead to, the winner of this fight could possibly be getting a title shot.
Real quick, remind me again, light heavyweight is still uncrowned right now, right?
Yeah, so light heavyweight is uncrowned, but right now they have already set up the fight between Yuri Prochazka and Alexander Pereira.
Correct.
So they're gonna fight for the title, and the winner of this fight is gonna fight the winner of that fight.
Mm-hmm.
Which within the rankings is a blessing for Johnny Walker, because of those four people, he's not in the top 5. He's in the top 7. He's number 7.
Mm-hmm.
So, but Jan Blachowicz already had his opportunity. But there's still Alexander Rakic. So,
right.
Them Europeans is coming in for fucking 205. God damn.
Speaking of which, though, Ankalaev's last fight was actually for the belt when he fought Blachowicz, if I recall correctly, and it ended up in I believe, was it a majority tie or something like that?
He has a draw and a no contest, for the vacant light heavyweight championship. And after he got, he just had the one win. He had the win over Anthony Smith, And the last fight he was in was ruled a draw
Mm-hmm.
between he and Jan Blachowicz.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at something else. I had the wrong notes open.
Bro, they don't know.
Yeah, you're right, but still, I'd be feeling bad. Anyway, so coming into this fight, Magomed Ankalaev was coming off of the draw with Jan Blachowicz. Johnny Walker was coming off of a victory over Anthony Smith, a decision that he got back in back in May earlier this year. So both guys pretty much were looking to get a title shot. This fight seemed like it was going to be exciting on paper. It definitely started, I wouldn't even say slow, they both were getting active, feeling each other out still. Got some wrestling going, some pressure to the fence. Johnny Walker takes a knee at one point while he's trying to get up because he was taken down, but he was working his way up. He was on a knee, I should say, and then takes a knee to the face from Magomed Ankalaev. Now, he doesn't eat it straight on. He definitely tries to ride the knee a little bit, turns his face inward, but seems like he takes most of the impact in the neck, but a knee is a knee. And
right.
Magomed Ankalaev damn sure was not 205 pounds during that fight.
Right.
He definitely had put a little weight on. I mean, which is customary, right? But so the doctor steps in. Doctor's trying to talk to Walker, and I guess he gets a response from Johnny Walker that he doesn't like, that makes him believe that he's not within sound mind to compete, and he calls off the fight. And before the fight really can even get started, the fight is over, and it's ruled a no contest. I'll pass it to you, TJ.
For one, we need to talk about Johnny Walker's acting skills when I think Ankalaev threw that jab to the body and Johnny was like,
yeah,
nigga. Wow. Jumps. First of all, we got to talk about that athleticism because he was damn near on his knees and jump up to throw a fucking knee to the head. I was like, yo, but that's also what caused Ankalaev to kind of secure a single leg. Didn't finish it, but at least got the pressure going into the fence. And then the other thing was like, even though, okay, some people will argue that did Walker have his bell rung? I still kind of think he did because the length of time it took for him to respond to the ref was a little worrisome, especially in some of the playbacks. With that being said, he pushed the ref over to the side. He's like, man, get the fuck out the way. Yo, Magomed, come on, man, let's keep it going, Playboy. They still tried to make the fight happen.
I felt like it wasn't even aggression on either side towards anyone or even each other. They were like, no, let's fight. Let's go.
We're still here, right? We're still here. Let's make it happen. I don't know what these refs are talking about. Doctor was clearly on one.
I was like, man, fuck it, y'all. Let it go.
And then Dana White had to step in and be like, all right, come on, we'll do right by y'all. And it was ruled a no contest, which at least that's kind of fair. You know, it's like, all right, no one's taking an L on their record. I'm not mad at that. I am mad at the strangeness of the stoppage. And apparently that doctor was kind of on one too. Like, I heard Victor Henry in the prelims took a nasty groin shot, and the doctor said he did not take a groin shot at all. I'm like, what? All the pics and clips I saw, that man was in pure agony. But okay.
He also was later in the ER, and his groin was swollen.
Oh my God. That can't be good. But yeah, that I feel like that fight might have been the only black mark, if you will. Wait, why the mark got to be black? That might be the only.
Finna ask you, brother.
Oh my God.
Especially considering what the next fight is. What you mean by that? The only black mark, brother.
Damn. Oh man, he is cooking me. Because
I'm black, y'all.
Y'all too.
I'm black, y'all.
I'm blackity black. I'm black. It's like y'all came in to listen to us talk about combat sports, not to witness somebody get grilled in real time. Now, but I was gonna say it was the only like weirdness in the card, in all honesty. Other than that, it was super entertaining, bro. That Abu Dhabi buff for those Russian fighters is something crazy. But take us into co-main, please.
Woo. So our co-main event was Kamaru Usman versus Khamzat Chimaev. Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev are both ranked respectively number 1 and number 4 at welterweight. However, this fight took place at middleweight at 185. Now, initially, Khamzat Chimaev was supposed to do battle with Paulo Costa.
Mr. Secret Juice himself.
Paulo Costa is ranked number 6 at middleweight. Now, Khamzat is not ranked in middleweight at all. Ideally, this would have thrown him within the top 5. Kamaru Usman, ranked number 1 at welterweight, is also not at middleweight at all. Because he took this fight on last minute notice after Paulo Costa got injured, they then announced that this fight, the winner of this fight, would end up getting a title shot against Sean Strickland for the middleweight championship. So this fight has now become a title eliminator, but still was a 3-rounder. Both guys fought at 185. I'll say this. In the first round, I felt like the stand-up was really there for Kamaru Usman. I feel like overall he had the advantage in the stand-up, which I didn't necessarily doubt that he would have, but I think I was surprised with how much control he had when he was able to, especially get into his rhythm. I oftentimes forget he actually does have a pretty good jab, and because he's a pretty strong guy,
he's got knockouts, man, on his record.
Yeah, but he steps in on that jab. He's putting a lot of weight on that punch. So I'm sure in 4-ounce gloves, 185-pound guy, roughly 200 pounds night of, that's going to hurt.
Right.
So good on him, at least, in that regard. But man, when he did a good job defending the takedown a little bit in the beginning, and then Kamaru was eventually taken down, and there was an immense amount of control time that Khamzat was able to get in that first round, and that trend sort of continued to a degree in the second round, and not necessarily as much in the third round. Apparently, in the post-fight, Khamzat said that he broke his hand in the first round, but from what I've seen and at least what I saw, he won. He won the fight. The judges agreed. It ended up going into a decision, but we saw I felt some discrepancies in some of his skills. Maybe not discrepancies, but we definitely saw some holes in his game. Granted, like he said, his hand was broken. So he says, but he's not as bulletproof as he once looked. And this was also against a guy that's not a true middleweight. Now, we don't really know what, quote unquote, a true middleweight version of Khamzat would look like. We don't know what level of training and preparation he was in for at this point. We do know he was getting ready to fight at 185, but, Paulo Costa is a real 185er, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Usman has not competed at a different weight class. This is a guy who has always competed, virtually like in a bigger. Everybody in this weight class, none of these guys, with the exception of Robert Whittaker, have performed. Robert Whittaker and Jared Cannonier are the only two people that have been in a different division, and Jared Cannonier is coming down.
That's always wild to me.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's coming down 3 weight classes.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I'll pass it over to you.
To me, it was, if in that third round Kamaru had stopped the eventual takedown, I don't know if it would have been that clean of a decision. Because he was really, really throwing the minks at Khamzat. And Khamzat, he basically forced Khamzat to shoot. Like, let's just get that out of the way. Trying to think, like, Khamzat had like decent control, but I feel like when Kamaru showed him in round 1, it's like, listen, dog, you're not gonna just smash me. You're not gonna get the submission. It's not gonna be that easy. I think he had sufficiently weathered the storm. I feel like Kamaru should have really put pressure on that gas pedal in round 2 and round 3. Because I feel like in round 2, he had an opportunity to actually maybe really wobble and hurt Chimaev that he didn't really capitalize on. And round three, he came out with the fire, but then, he forced Hamza to shoot. Now, the other thing, too, is like, I'm still not sure Kamaru's knees were at 100%. Also, this was the first time I really noticed that, like, Kamaru's got really small calves. He's got the John Jones calves, like, high key. I'm like, damn,
It
bro.
was extremely noticeable.
Like, probably because the upper body had to put on a little bit more weight, so it didn't look as proportionate as it may have looked in welter. But I was just like,
no, bro, everything below his knees looked insane.
I was just like, how was he?
I was like, Max Holloway?
How are they? Oh my God, shut up, bro. That's wild. But the thought, I kid you not, the thought crossed my mind is like, yo, if he takes one bad leg kick, are we going to see that leg shatter?
Ooh.
If y'all didn't watch the fight, you just got to see it to understand where we're coming from, because he was working with twigs. But I'm wondering if his knees were at 100% because he didn't go for any shots. And Kamaru is a wrestler. He's got hands, but make no mistake, he was a wrestler first. So I'm sure his wrestling is at a pedigree to where he could deal with a Hamza. And I mean, we saw how his defense was. So that's another question. I mean, there was one moment where I was worried too, where when Hamza was on his back and he kind of like threw himself to the wall, I was like, bro, please don't knock yourself out. Please don't knock yourself, because he kind of landed on his head. I would argue
that he may have, round. Because he also is another person that took this fight short notice, he may have realized that he might not have had the energy to win a wrestling battle that he engaged, considering he had already felt what this dude was like when they already wrestled. Like, yeah, this might be more work than I needed to be.
Right.
And especially if you're already winning with the hands, why give him an opportunity?
You don't wrestle the wrestler, right? Yeah. Yep. That's a good call out. But shit, other than that, I have nothing to add other than I'd like to see, I think there is sufficient reason to run this back once with a full training camp for both, personally. And I wouldn't mind seeing this fight again. At middleweight, maybe they both have had at least one or two fights in this new weight class against actual middleweighters, and see what that looks like. Like a seasoned middleweight or semi-seasoned middleweight Hamza versus a semi-seasoned middleweight Kamaru Usman. Do I think they should get a title shot off of this? No. I don't. They didn't even have rankings. That's literally some like Yuri Prochazka and Alex Pereira type level jumping that they're trying to do with them. But I don't run the UFC, so it's what it is. All right. Shall I take us into the main event?
Sure.
All right, we have Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2. This was for the lightweight title. I believe, Volk had his title defense against Yair Rodriguez. And then Makhachev's last fight was literally Volkanovski. Originally, it was supposed to be Makhachev versus Charles Oliveira 2, but as we saw, Oliveira's face got split open, and we saw the videos of them opening the cut just to, I guess, prove to people that his face got cut open. But I was like, niggas, aren't you making the cut bigger? But, we're not a part of his team, so gross. But but listen, bro, Makhachev was just like, I'm not going to leave it to the judges. And I'm sure that was Volk's mindset as well, but even with the fence wrestling, Volkanovski just looked a step slower overall, and you could see that Makhachev was setting up that eventual head kick that led to the knockout by kind of kicking Volk to the body and getting those hands to drop. Very reminiscent of, and I feel bad for DC because they had to in the hype for Stipe versus Jones, they had to play both clips where he was getting mollywopped by these dudes.
Yeah, bro.
But it was very reminiscent. He's like, I work here. He's like, I work here. And I was like, damn. DC is hilarious, by the way. I'm so glad he switched to commentating because he's always a good time. But it was very reminiscent of the head kick that John Jones got DC with. I think it was it their second meeting? How many times have they fought? I feel like they fought
3 times.
Three times. Oh, it might have been their second
It was
meet
the
or
last
the
one.
third.
It
Yeah,
was
it
their
was their last
final.
one. And it was the one
Yeah.
where I was like, yo, I remember watching that and being like, yo, I think DC figured it out. I think he figured John Jones, and then John Jones hit him with that head kick. And I was like,
Hit him with that head kick
yo,
and the trip. Oh my
yeah,
God. When he tripped him instead of following after him,
yeah.
like, you know, when you follow after guys through the few punches, he was like, oh, he's ducking, just kicked his feet out.
Yeah, I remember because that was the one where DC cried during the Octagon interview. I was like, well, there's not gonna be another one. That kind of broke my heart because DC is such a good dude. But he's redeemed himself in like spades. Like the dude's been a champ, like so on and so forth. Like it's DC. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Volkanovski just got caught lacking, and Makhachev showed that he's not just wrestling; he's got striketry as well. But I don't know. I'm kind of interested in like what Volk's headspace was like, simply because of some of the stuff he was saying in the octagon as well as in the after post fight, should say, press conference. But I'll pass it over to Matt. What'd you think, bro?
Um, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. We talked about this beforehand, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it leaves a question unanswered because yes, you beat him, but you beat him on short notice, and he wasn't in the middle of a camp for you. He wasn't in the middle of a camp for anything. You know, be ready at all times. All that I get that, and yes, he did say yes, but you can't feel vindicated uh that you beat a guy that trained to beat you from a lower weight class the first time. You can't feel vindicated in the fact that you had the detractors when you beat this guy again, but you beat him on short notice. You did not
Right,
beat him when he had the opportunity. Now, look, shoulda, woulda, coulda, you know, if was a fifth and all that. He zigged when he should have zagged. He got kicked in his fucking head. And that's how, you know, that's the end of the story. I understand that. That could have very well happened if he, you know, had he had a camp, he could have made the exact same mistake. You know, you
right,
literally never know.
right,
So, but this just didn't do anything for me but be like, cool, let's get Charles Oliveira in here.
right.
So let's see what happens.
Indeed, indeed. Well, all right, man. Let's switch over to our first combat topic of the week, which is what, Matt? Remind the folks again.
Our top UFC fighters that did not become UFC champions. Go like about 3 to 5. You know, we kept it loose. You know, just for this first one, see how it goes.
Like some of these fighters' credit scores after the fact.
Well,
I don't know where I started saying the credit score thing. It just makes me laugh. If you don't mind, in no particular order, these are the names that came to mind, and if I'm messing up on some of them, just let me know. But I was thinking like Elijah Faber. If it weren't for Dominic Cruz, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah, for
uh
real.
John Dotson, if it weren't for Mighty Mouse. Uh,
Oof.
um, I don't know why, but I was thinking about like Bigfoot and not Bigfoot. No, yeah, Bigfoot, Antonio
Antonio
Silva.
Nogueira.
No, not Big Nog, Little Nog. I was thinking like Antonio Silva. I feel like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know what I mean. Cowboy to a certain
Mm-hmm.
degree. I don't know why, but I thought Kimbo Slice.
Yeah.
Um, you know, those are my five. How about you?
Um. So I got uh Yoel Romero,
Ooh, yeah,
um, Nate Diaz,
yeah,
uh, Gustafson.
yeah, yeah. John Jones was a 50 cent to his
He
Ja Rule.
Gustafson unfortunately was just around for the for John Jones and DC's eras.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's fucked up.
he
Yeah.
just happened to be out at the same time.
Bro, you were
So
just born in the wrong time. That's what you're saying.
he just born in the wrong era, man. That's
Yeah.
all. It's not his fault. Um, and then the two last people I got Hendo,
Mm.
Dan Henderson, who literally has won the title in every promotion he's ever been in except UFC, and my last one is another one that's gonna hit close to home, at least for me. Cub Swanson.
Oh, damn. And then we just saw him take
Yeah.
that L to John Martinez not
Yeah,
too long ago.
yeah.
That's solid.
Those are my guys.
Yeah. There's so much sadness. Like,
Yeah, but you know what?
those are
Like,
my
at least the thing for
guys.
me is like, I always like not necessarily butterfly effect shit, but I'd like things like, oh, if only this didn't happen like this one way. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I remember Cub was right there, and they were just like, you'll get a title shot, but you gotta fight Brian Ortega first. And I was just like, fuck. Like, I remember it right when they was like, just let him fight Max. Fuck that, man. Just let him fight Max. And they did not, in fact, just let him fight Max. They didn't allow that. So, yeah, that one hurt. Because I was like, man, it was his year, man. I felt it. I was like, oh, he got it. And it was just like, oh, this either he's gonna get it or Brian Ortega's gonna get it. And it was like, we'll just have him fight for it. And I was like, oh, somebody could have waited. Fuck. And sure enough, Brian Ortega took it. And then, you know, and I'm not even saying this offensively. You see what happened.
Right, yeah.
So, you know, this shit that could have been Cub. Could have been anybody, to be honest.
Indeed.
And during that era of Max Holloway, it was everybody.
Yeah.
Apparently it still is. It kind of still is. That day was like the, oof. God, can you actually rethink about it? That was the beginning. That was the beginning of Max Holloway being on that next level for that volume. That was when it started. It started against fucking Brian Ortega.
Huh.
Like, no, rock with me. Because, like, if you look at he beat Charles Oliveira, Jeremy Stevens, Ricardo Lamas, beat Pettis, and then when he got those 2 wins over Aldo, Brian Ortega was his first title defense. After he finally got it off Aldo, beat Aldo for the defense, then he beat Brian Ortega, went upstairs, tried to fight Dustin Poirier, and then, you know, just went at it with Frankie Edgar, but despite those 2 losses to Volkanovski, threw 10 billion punches in both of those. You know, the Calvin Kattar performance speaks for itself. The Yair Rodriguez performance speaks for itself. I mean, shit, he got fight of the night for both of those. Yeah. Loses to Volkanovski again, then he looks like Max Holloway again against Arnold Allen and Chan Sung Jung. But like this new just volume, constantly throwing, and that's like not even a thing for him. You know, it's new. That was as new as that was, at least. Damn. Sorry about that tangent.
No, that's that very much welcomed. Shout out Max Holloway. Now we're in a situation where he might fight Volkanovski again, bro. If they do Topuria versus Holloway, we might see a 4th one. Let's be real.
You just got to start bypassing him.
Yeah.
Like, somebody just got to sit Max down and be like, bro, you just got to cool off for like a year and just go to 55.
Right.
Please.
They got records there that you can break. He's like, oh, word?
Yeah, it's like, he's like, but I already got the UFC records. It's like, fuck, he does.
Right.
All he's gonna do is just carry the output record to the next weight class he goes to. That's it.
Right.
That's the only thing that changes. That's the only new record he'll get. He'll get the output record for that weight class, but it doesn't matter because he already has the output record for the whole company.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Oh man. Shit'll go down, but I'm sure he can't go down.
Right. Max Holloway. All right, man. I think we did it.
I think we got it done. As far as combat sports, next week we do not have any UFC. We don't have UFC again until November the 4th. However, this weekend what we do have is Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury.
Oh shit! Yeah,
we will be covering that next week's podcast as well. With that, you can follow us all on social media. You can follow me at Matt Hambrick. That's MattHambrick TJ.
Let me tell you where you can find me, brother. You can find me on Instagram at Tuss4Skate. That's TUSS number 4_SKATE. Oh, yeah. Y'all can find Bryce on Instagram at the Velvet Panther. Kidding. He hasn't updated it yet. We're bringing it back. I got you, Bryce. It's going to be at Ashe Onsa. That's AXE_ONCA. Baby. Where can they find the podcast, Matt? My voice hurts.
We can find keep going. No, we can find the podcast at Now Mind You Podcast, wherever you like to get your social media and wherever you like to get your podcast. We are everywhere. And with that, we will see you guys next week, and we will talk to you about what could possibly end up being a circus: Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou.
Peace.